There
Hmm.
was, as much as I thought I knew about her, there was a lot that I learned from this movie.
Yeah.
How much did you learn? I know your name is partly based off Billie Holiday,
Yeah.
but how much did you actually learn in this process?
Yeah, so there was a lot that I knew. It's a part of why I love her, But like for instance, the depth of the Jimmy Fletcher piece, because I know after the movie came out, people were like, well, they didn't really have a love affair, blah blah blah. The truth of the matter is they actually really did become close friends, you know what I mean? And he really did have a love for her. Like that's how he describes her in his own words. She was the loving kind, you know what I mean? So you know, we just sort of took, or Lee took and their team took, a creative license here to say they could have possibly had in a relationship. And it was very easy for her to find herself in relationships and fall in love, and as loving as Billie Holiday could find herself, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So this whole that piece was actually revelatory for me. I didn't know that how deeply they used someone like a Jimmy Fletcher to. I knew they infiltrated her life. I knew they went after her, but I didn't know the way they infiltrated her heart and betrayed her like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, but there was a lot that I did know about her, which is I think why the story was so close, because to me she truly is, and that's the thing, I've reiterated this a lot, but it's because I really do want people to know, like, she reinvigorated Thurgood Marshall and the reinvigorated civil rights movement, right? Because we obviously have the Ida B. Wells, predating that, of course. But a lot of people don't know the movement had really died out at that point. You know what I'm saying? There was not much a momentum and not much vigor. And it was obviously the death of Emmett Till, but it was also Billie Holiday relentlessly singing this song and the government relentlessly going after her that motivated the neo civil rights movement, which is what they would have been looked at the time as. So, I truly do look at her as the godmother of the modern civil rights movement as we know it, because she was just hugely responsible for motivating a lot of our leaders during that time. Yeah, so I think there was a lot I did know, but there was still what I learned about her fight and her spirit. I think it was more internal what I learned about her. And then the Jimmy Fletcher piece was something new for me as well.
Yeah, I knew a little bit about that. I didn't know the depth of it either. I also
Yeah.
I knew she died in a hospital. I did not know she died chained to the bed.
Yeah,
That I didn't
handcuffed to the
know.
bed. Yeah.
Handcuffed to the
The other
bed.
part, the other part too is the planting of drugs on her. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah, I
like
didn't know
the
that either.
planting of, yeah, I mean, which is why still to this day, often people question, like, you know what I mean? She was sick. Her body had been ravaged, you know what I'm saying, by drugs. But there's not a certainty that she actually died of that cause or natural causes when she was in the hotel. There's or when she was in the hospital room. There's still speculation that Harry Anslinger, that his agents actually did kill her. When she was in the hospital. So, and it sucks because for our stories, oftentimes when you're dealing with the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, you're dealing with these leaders that have their intention is to undermine and to dismantle Black leadership and progress. And you know we don't have access, we don't have the access to the resources to investigate our stories as deeply as they do. So it's always that thing in the air. I am convinced that they killed her, but that's definitely me. You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's just you. I mean, I think
yeah.
anybody who does a little bit of research, that wouldn't be the
Right.
case. And what's so
Right.
bothersome, I mean, among, I should say, the many things that are bothersome about this, there's still fucking buildings named after Harry Anslinger. You
a
know,
hundred percent
the buildings named after him. And this is the agent who essentially, in many ways, killed her, planted drugs
Yeah,
on her, did all of those things. And we have
absolutely.
buildings named after
Yeah,
him, just like we have
with the
buildings named after
intention.
J. Edgar Hoover with intention.
Absolutely. With the
Yeah.
intention, you know what I'm saying, to kill. He did go after her with the intention to kill her. They always describe him, Johann Hari describes him best as a racist by racist standards, even at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I think we have buildings named after him. We have buildings named after Hoover, but just the general premise of the FBI, like people always ask me, well, how do you think we can change, the police departments or the FBI or I'm like, they're actually doing what they were designed to do. You know what I mean? So that's like the whole idea of sort of turning that around. I'm like, it's a dismantling and it's a rebuilding. You know what I mean? It's actually not even a rebuilding, it's a new building of a system that actually works for a diverse nation, right? A nation of where all people are represented. So it's true that you bring that up to the Hoover thing, because even that to me is like a slap in the face, right? You don't see You know who talks about this best? Brian Stevenson, who just is like obviously a modern hero living among us. But he describes how much better Germany did this with the Nazis and with Nazi propaganda and Nazi culture. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can teach about it. The kids should know about it. Young people should know about it. Adults should know about it. But you don't build monuments to Hitler or to the leaders of you know, the Nazi party. And here in America, our marketing is just better. You know what I mean? So we have entire buildings and systems that are built to people that really had an intention to eradicate and to oppress entire groups of people in the nation, black people, brown people, you know, LGBTQ, like their intention was that. So I think until we start to understand that we need to deal with those things, we're going to continue subconsciously feeding that agenda, truthfully. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to your point, in Germany, swastikas are illegal. Over
They are
here,
illegal.
Confederate flags, totally
Oh,
welcome.
totally right.
You're right. It's like you
Anywhere,
can buy them
everywhere.
anywhere. It's like, all right,
Listen, you know what I
people.
mean? I'm in the valley. I'm in the Simi Valley is not that far away. So no offense to anybody who's acting right out there. But if you're not, I be seeing them on big trucks driving by, still Confederate flags in California, in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? So it is true, this idea that it's like, oh, that's, you know, of course I believe in freedom of speech, but I'm like, but we, you know, we will silence other voices. We'll silence, you know, black and brown and marginalized communities' voices, you know what I mean? But we won't silence voices that promote. It's not about silencing them, but about really actually making the public educated, you know, on what the intention of these voices and these things are for. So I'm always amazed at when Brian Stevenson speaks, you know what I mean? And just how much I learn. And I'm like, it's very true. It's marketing. Listen, America markets things very well.
And for those who are listening, Brian Stevenson, if you saw the movie Just Mercy, that is
Yes.
who that movie was based off of because of his,
Yes.
long-standing battle against criminal injustice. And so
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
a tremendous, tremendous figure.
Yeah.
One of the
Still.
more, still a tremendous
Yeah,
figure,
still
yes.
civil rights attorney, still fighting to get people who are unjustly incarcerated out of prison. So yeah, he's a hero for
Uh,
sure.
of all the things that you did to prepare the role, one of the more amazing things is that you lost about 40 pounds, right, to do
Yeah.
this. I
I
can only
gained
imagine.
20 of it back.
I was going to ask, like, what's the gaining back process
Girl,
like?
right now it's all in my head, right? Listen, this is the funniest part about this. You'll know. I was like, half of this, I only got the scarfing because only half of this is braided. And I'm taking my braids out right
Since
now.
we done all been there, we done
You
all
already
been
know.
there.
I was like, got the little coconut oil, the little olive oil on deck. But so yeah, no, I did lose 40 pounds for it, definitely. And it's so funny because people are constantly asking me, well, at first when I lost the weight, actually what they were trying to have me do was lose the weight. And then they're like, then she needs to gain 50 pounds. And at the point when I was committed, once I got over it, I prayed about it, I was committed. I was like, I'm down for whatever. You know what I'm saying? Finally, a doctor was like, you can't gain 50 back. You'll get fatty liver and die. I was like, oh, okay. But we did lose the weight. I started early on to do it healthier with this company. I got with this organization called Altis, and this trainer, Daniel Ferguson, actually is his name. And so I was losing it very slowly and trying to be healthy. But I knew toward the end it was like I can't keep up the trajectory of healthy because my body will look too good. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like,
Makes perfect sense.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like it's the 1940s, so my body wouldn't look like that. But it's 1940s, Billie Holiday, drug ravaged body, alcohol, cigarettes, hard living. You know what I mean? Very little sleep, stress. You know, all that stuff. So I was like, stuff has to sag, stuff has to, you know what I mean? Like, so I couldn't walk in and like Billie Holiday has an 8-pack. Like that's weird. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just, hard body, brolic Billie. That's not cute. So I did, yeah. People were like, what was your diet secret? I was like, eat air and smoke a lot of cigarettes. Just like,
So you were on the
oh,
champagne and cigarettes diet.
100%. I was like, people keep asking me, what's your secret? I was like, don't follow it. You'll not survive. This is not.
But like, this is not a
And
recommendation. Okay.
no, it's not. And it was really designed also. The thing about it is because I was like hungry pretty often, and then I'd randomly fill my body with fat while I was on set and then let it go for a while. But it would slow me down. I had very little energy. You know what I mean? So it would slow me down. The cigarettes would slow me down. which was good because I'm fast. Billy's like molasses slow. So it all kind of worked together in tandem in a beautiful way, intentionally and unintentionally, to create, this magnificent woman,
You also talk with addicts to prepare for the role, correct?
I did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
recovering
Ooh, wait.
addicts.
Wow, you brought that back. Ooh, wee.
Yeah.
That was a trip. That was actually really a trip and a really emotional experience. I still have like a 30-minute long video of just our conversation that I look at on my phone. Yeah, I talked with recovering addicts. I talked with a guy who owned a school, and then he brought a young kid. I am particular, but I talked to people who are addicted to like cocaine, who are addicted to heroin and meth, and just all kind of things, alcohol. But there was one in particular that I really stuck out to me. It was a man who owned a not a school, wow, a rehab facility, and he brought a young kid who was only not even fully a year into his sobriety. So I was really nervous because I was like, is he going to be okay? Said he's a really big fan of yours, so this is a good thing for him and it's a good step in his recovery. But they're teaching me everything, and he was so detailed because it's like, here's what needles look like now, but this is not what she would have had. So he brought like a vintage glass looking, like it would be a glass needle, a big gauge as well too. You know what I mean? So like that's where those massive track marks in her arm come from. But as he's teaching me to like tie off, you know what I'm saying? And teaching me when the high hits, all this stuff. This kid, like his pupils start to dilate. I could see him zone in. I could see sweat start to build on his brow. And even when I would like speak, it was like he wouldn't really register. He was so zoned in on watching the process of me learning how to do it. And it like broke my heart, but also motivated me at the same time, And he was, I'm good, but he, everything I needed to know about the motive and the moment before, he taught me in that moment without even speaking a word. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was so visceral and so real. So I'm very appreciative of him, you know what I mean, in that school, for that time in that moment.